Hi Year 5, welcome to your second art lesson for this half term. Let's start with some total recall, art addition. So, can you remember what this shading technique here is called? So we've got lines going across each other. What do you think the word tone means when we're talking about art? And can you remember the name of the artist that we are looking at this half term? Okay, let's see how many of these you've got right. So this shading technique, obviously these lines are going across each other, so it is called cross-hatching. Our vocabulary, tone, is the light or darkness of a picture. Okay, the different tones, the comparison of tones, the light to dark. And the name of our artist is Rembrandt. So well done if you got any of those correct. So let's have a little bit of a recap from last week about who Rembrandt is. So Rembrandt van Rijn. When people think about Rembrandt, they think of portraits where he paints pictures of people. Okay, so he was very well known for that, painting pictures of people and also painting pictures of himself, so a self-portrait. Obviously, in the days of Rembrandt, so back in the 1600s, there were no cameras, so people used to get painters to paint pictures of them. The reason that he was so well known for these is the fact that they were so lifelike, and if you looked at the paintings it looked like the people were staring at you. So we're going to have a look at some of the examples of his portraits. So as I said, he painted a lot of himself over the years, so this is a self-portrait he did of himself when he was younger. And we'll look at a couple more. Oops, sorry. Okay, and there's another self-portrait of him. He drew himself. And then he also did portraits of other people. And like it said, look, he made those pictures so lifelike, it looks like the eyes are staring at you. Well, they're really real. But although Rembrandt was well known for his portraits, he also painted historical, mythological and biblical scenes. Can you notice anything? If I'm going to look at some more pictures, what can you notice about these paintings that are also similar to his portraits? So I'll quickly go through the portraits again. So look at all the kind of colours and the tones. Okay, and now let's have a look at his other pictures. You might have seen some of these last week. So just have a think. What can you notice? So, a lot of these pictures, he's using his tone to really help his pictures stand out. So Rembrandt's work exhibits a masterful handling of light and shadow that often suggests deep human emotion and spiritual transcendence. He would use this effect to achieve an impression of depth and allow people's features in portraits to stand out. Other artists would try and make their paintings seem flawless, allowing Rembrandt's attention to detail to set him apart as an artist. This light and dark technique is known as chiaroscuro. Okay, and this literally translates to light dark. Chiaro means light, scuro means dark. And it's the effect of contrasted light and shadow. So let's just have a look at some of his paintings again. So you looked at this one last week with Mr. Walker, I think. And as you can see, the background, the people in the background. Now this painting was actually painted as though it's in the daylight. Okay, but they are obviously in the shade. It looks like it's nighttime, but it's not. They're in the shade. He's used those darker tones. And then where the sunlight is kind of peeking through, he's got just kind of the sides of people's faces. He's used a lot lighter tone. And especially these people in the front. And what is that doing? What is that different tone doing? Especially to these two people in the front and this girl back here. it's really highlighting them out of the picture, isn't it? Okay, you're really focusing on those few characters that are in that light, where he's created that lighter tone, and really helps them to be more predominant in those pictures. Okay, same with this one. Okay, he's got the dark kind of stormy sky and this sinking part of the boat in the water almost completely black. And then up just where the sky is kind of blue, he's got this light shining in. And it's helping his pictures tell the story of whatever he was trying to recreate. Okay, and help certain people or certain features in his paintings stand out. And like I said, other artists, especially people who painted portraits of others, they would try and make their skin look flawless, like not including all their lines on their face and things. But Rembrandt used this to his advantage. Okay, he drew every single line on people's faces, and he used that chiaroscuro effect to really show the detail in his pictures. So chiaroscuro, light, dark, basically shading. So in year 5, especially today's lesson and through the weeks as we're going to progress, we are not just going to be scribbling, okay, to create shading. We really need to think about what we're doing. So chiaroscuro. So you have your point. This dot here represents the direction from your light. Okay, so obviously whichever direction your light is coming from, the part of your picture is going to be the lightest or the whitest. Okay, you then have highlight and light around it, and slowly as you kind of move away from the light source, if you think about in real life, when something's being blocked, when the sunlight's being blocked, it creates shade and shadow, doesn't it? Okay, so if we think of this as a ball, eventually and we think of this as the sun. Okay, this part of the sunlight on this part of the ball is reflecting straight off of it. Okay, so this is going to be a really bright or light part of the ball. Towards the other side of the ball, where the sunlight isn't reaching, okay, it's creating that shade, okay, in darkness, and also the shadow on the floor of the ball. You could almost think of this as like earth and day and night, okay, and that is chiaroscuro, thinking of that light and dark tone to a painting or a drawing. So you have a value scale in art. Oops. You have a value scale, and this is obviously where your scale just goes from light shading to dark shading. Now there is a video here, it's about 10 minutes long. I've put the link in on the daily schedule with all your lessons if you'd like to watch that video. But what I would like you to do is just pause this video and have a go on your at the top of your piece of paper of a value scale. So on your piece of paper, let's just focus that. Just across the top, I just want you to go from light to dark. Now you might not have a shading pencil at home, I don't, but just try, there we go, just try your best. So you basically start with nothing at all, okay, and then slowly, and it's obviously to do with how hard you are pushing your pencil on the page. And what I just want to see, this can just be kind of a little scribble at the moment. I really want just to see that scale and that tone getting darker and darker as you go across the page. Okay, so it should pretty much go from white to black. So just pause the video and have a go at that at the top of your page. Okay, let's carry on. So, other than chiaroscuro, Rembrandt was also known for using the techniques of hatching and cross-hatching. Now obviously we had cross-hatching in our total recall at the beginning. These are lines drawn to help create texture in a drawing. So you have hatching, which is just simple lines and involves creating patterns of lines that are parallel to each other. Okay, so the lines that you're drawing will all go the same direction, they are parallel. And then cross-hatching starts by having a layer of hatching and then creating another layer of hatching on the top, but where the lines are going in the opposite direction, so in the perpendicular direction. And sometimes you can even do multiple layers of cross-hatching. Okay, and if we go back to this, we can see in this drawing by Rembrandt that he has used a lot of cross-hatching to create those tones. Okay, the more lines of cross-hatching that he uses, he has those darker, more shadowy tones. Here, where he's left more gaps in his cross-hatching, it creates a lighter tone because he's still got the white of the paper coming through. So what I would like you to do now is just pause the video again and do another value scale, but have a go at just doing a value scale with hatching, okay, and a value scale with cross hatching. So with hatching, you need to keep taking your pencil off of the paper. So whereas up here I was just kind of scribbling, with hatching, so I'm going to start really light. You need to do separate lines, but all going in the same direction. And now obviously it's going to be how much you push your pencil, but also it's the gap you leave between the lines. Okay. And it should just get darker and darker. It doesn't have to get bigger and bigger. And then try it again once more underneath, but with cross hatching. So do a layer of hatching and then do it in the other direction, really creating that texture. Oops, going the wrong way. Okay, so just pause the video and have a go at those techniques and try and get darker and darker and darker as you go along. Brilliant, well done. So we're going to try and put this into a bit more of a bit more artistically now. So I would like you to have a go at putting these chiaroscuro skills and these hatching skills together and adding some light shadow and texture to some shapes. Okay, now you can just choose a shape like this. Okay, maybe start with a sphere or a cube first of all. Okay, just draw them on your piece of paper, and then I want you to really think about what direction your light will be coming in from. So if I started with a cube, now this is sketching, so you don't need a ruler, it doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, so just roughly going to draw my cube. Now you've got to think, what direction is your light? Do you want your light coming from? Do you want it coming from this direction, or do you want it coming from this direction? Okay, so I'm going to have my light, pretending that my light's coming from this direction. So straight away I know that this side of my cube is going to be dark because it's not going to be getting any of that light. So I'm using some hatching to start. I'm pushing quite hard and I'm doing a lot of lines. Okay, now I'm going to cross hatch it. And the more layers you add, obviously the more texture it's going to give to your picture. Maybe do some multiple layers, go another way. Okay, so this side of my cube is really, really dark because I'm pretending my light is coming from here. So that now means now I'm going to have to fade and get lighter towards where my light is. Okay, so I'm going to do some more hatching here, but just a little bit lighter because my light will probably catch this side quite well. And then I'm just going to go fade it out a little bit even lighter. Okay, so as you can see, that shade, now it's not perfect, but that's the beauty of art, okay? It doesn't have to be perfect. Just going to make my side stand out a bit more. And then I'm going to do the same on the top, okay? So I'm going to go from, now how to do this. I'm going to go from dark. Now you can try some just kind of shading versions. I'm going to go from the dark and I'm going to shade it right out on the top here. I'm going to just try a different technique. I think I need to be a bit darker here. And just shade it out. Okay, and there it just shows that this side has the lighter tone and this side has the darker tone. You can keep adding to it, okay, if you want it even darker in your shaded areas. And then think about the shadow. So if we just go back to the slide here, so this cube has its dark side, and then the cube has created the light has created the shadow of the cube underneath as well. Okay, so you could just lightly shade some hatch lines, just kind of give that shape, some shadow on the ground. Okay, so have a go, and as you can see, okay, I'm not a great artist myself, but it's just practicing those skills of chiaroscuro and hatching. Have a go at some different shapes. Have a go at a sphere using cross hatching maybe to make it look 3D, and have a go at a cylinder. So pause the video here. If you'd like to carry on for a little bit and would like an extra challenge, what you could do now is have a go at some facial features. Also, again, thinking about what direction your light is coming in from and adding shade. So, for example, you might want to start with some... What's happening with my computer? You might want to start with some lips, okay? So lightly sketch a pair of lips. So I've got my top lip, and I'm going to have the gap for my teeth, and then I'm going to have the bottom lip. Okay, so just sketch out your shape, just draw some teeth in so I know that's my teeth. And now I want you to think of adding shade to your lips. Again, I'm going to have my light coming in from this direction. Okay, so this side of my lips is going to be lighter. Okay, so I'm going to do some cross hatching again. So I'm going to slowly build up the darkness of this. So I'm barely touching the paper at the beginning, and then I just get a bit harder with my pushing and darker. Okay, and now I'm going to cross it over the other way. to keep taking your pencil off. What I'm also going to do is give inside the back of the mouth a really dark shadow, and then you can kind of do the outline of your lips again. There we go. Okay, and then keep, if it's not quite perfect, keep adding to it. Add more darkness to make your light stand out. And there we go. We've got that build up of and again, you can see my drawing isn't perfect, so don't worry about what your pictures look like, okay? Just focus on really trying to use that cross-hatching effect and those different tones. Well done, Year 5. Speak to you soon. Bye.